is in bundles. Kaven Ikabe Kitri, since you do have these knots, Chayshina, we're worried that the bird hitting the knots and the bundles may have gotten a concussion, become a traitor. Doctor, let's say the bird fell on flax that's on the floor. Chayshina, we're worried because it's hard, not the flax itself. We're talking about the broken pieces of the flax on the floor. Akdaktika, if it fell on the sediments that fall off of the sediments, lo chayshinu, we're not worried because that's already soft. If it fell on navra, if it fell on the navra is the threads that grow inside of a palm tree, like hearts of palm. So then chayshina, then we are worried. But if it fell on timchasa, but if the timchasa is after you cut up the date tree into pieces, there are these little threads, lo chayshina, that we're not worried because that is soft. Kitma nihila, if it fell on top of ashes that had been sifted, chayshinan, because we're worried that those ashes may have become clumps with the water, and therefore it's falling onto something hard. But lo nihila, but if it wasn't sifted, lo chayshinan, then it's not clumpy, and then it's falling on something soft, and we're not worried that there was any concussion. Choladak, let's say a bird was thrown onto to thin sand. Lo chayshinan, we're not worried, but cholagas, but to thick sand, chayshinan, we are worried that it may have caused a concussion. Avak drachim, if it fell on the dust of a path. So since people walk on it, it became hard. So chayshinan, so we're worried that when it fell on that, it may have had a concussion and it became a treifa. Tivna. So Rashi says that's the hay of wheat and barley. V'avid bazga, and it's been made into a package. Chayshinan, and we are worried that when it fell on it, it may have gotten a concussion. But lo avid bazga, but if it's just like a big bin full of hay that is not a package, lo chayshinan, we're not worried that it would get a concussion through such a fall. Chiti v'chol deminayu, wheat or anything like them. Rashi says things like them would be spelt, which is also hard. Chayshinan, so if it fell onto that, it was thrown onto that, we're worried it may have gotten a concussion. Sari v'chol deminayu, barley and all the things like them, also chayshinan, we're worried that if the bird was thrown into them, it may have gotten a concussion. Chol mitnei kitnios, but all the different types of legumes, let's say peas, or lentils, ein ben mishum risa kevarim, we're not worried that maybe there's going to be a concussion by throwing into them, because as Rashi says, because they don't really get clumped together, they separate from each other. So when the bird gets thrown into them, it's not going to have this like major blow that might cause a concussion. The only exception is mirubia. The exception is rubia. Rubia, Rashi says, is tilton, which is fenugreek. The exception to this is fenugreek, which apparently does stick together, and therefore it can cause a concussion.
So as lentil. Lentil is the same thing. When
lentils, no.
When you have a bowl of lentils, they stick together.
Yeah, but then it's all soft once it's cooked. We're talking about it's got to be something hard that it fell into. Chimtzi are peas. Ein bo mishum rutza kevarim. There's no issue of concussions, as Rashi says, because they are very smooth and they don't get all bonded together. And chifzi are they say hummus, chickpeas. Rashi says sidrush.
Rabbi, why they don't say if
there would be an issue of a concussion if a bird was thrown into it. So here's the rule. Klal the mills, here's the rule: Kol midi de misrik. Any item that slides off of each other, emel mishum risuk evarim. There's no issue of risuk evarim if something was thrown into it. However, a low misrik, if it doesn't slide off of each other, they sort of like bond together. Yesh b'misum risuk evarim. Then you have an issue of risuk evarim.
Why they don't say if it hits a hard surface?
That's what it's saying, basically.
Yeah.
That is what it's saying.
That's
That's
the bottom
exactly what
line.
it's saying. That is the bottom line.
Yeah.
Now they used to have apparently some type of a bird trap. Rashi says divok. That's next thing gludabalaz. It's some type of a glue. Tachan also bedaf katan. They put this glue on a small board. Haof shochin alav. The bird goes onto it. Umidbakbo gets stuck on it. Upareach. Then when he tries to fly off, imadaf. This board is on him. And no filaretz, and it brings him down to the ground. So Dibuk Rav Ashi Shari. Rav Ashi said that in this type of a trap on the birds, that's not going to make it have a concussion. Amemar Asa. Amemar said it's not allowed. B'chad Gapa.
Not allowed.
If it was, it's a concussion. It has risuk evar. It's a treifa.
He gets stuck from his feet on that board. So.
Yeah, but then when he flies, the board brings him down.
Okay, so
maybe the being brought down is a concussion.
It may be here.
So let's see. So the Gemara says in a second. B'chad gapa, if the board was only on one wing, so then certainly he could fly with the other wing. So even though he came down, that's not going to be a coming down. That will cause a concussion.
Oh,
where's the argument? Betray gapi. If both wings got stuck to this board and the board brought him down. Manda Amasar, the one who prohibited, says, Eichinekum. How can he? He'll say. How could he get up? Right? He was being brought down by both wings, so he's had risuk evar. And the shari, and the one who permits, will tell you. He'll tell you, he could have held himself up with the head of his wings. In other words, with the top of the wings, he could have held himself up that when he came down, not to break his fall and not to have a full fall.
Rabbi, so far we've talked about concussion. But there are other damages that could happen when it falls down. It could break a leg, it could break a bone.
Yeah, it might be included.
This is all treifas, right?
That could be. Some of them are. The Ikadami, others say betray gapi if the board was attached to both wings. Then there's no argument. Everybody agrees. We have to worry for a concussion. It's a treifa. The question is if it was only on one wing. Man the shari, the one who permits amalacha after the parach b'chad gapa, because it could have still flown with one wing, so therefore it wasn't a fall that necessarily is going to make a concussion. Man dasa, one prohibits. We'll tell you, given the bahai lomatzi parach, since he couldn't fly with this one, bahai nami lomatzi parach, he couldn't fly with the other one either. V'hilchsan halachas betray gapi asir. If this dibuk got connected to both wings, it's not allowed. Shari, if it was only attached to one wing and the bird came down, it's still not a treifa and it is permitted. Okay, so now we go to the Mishnah. The Mishnah spoke about other types of treifa. It listed 18 types of treifa. One of them was if the majority of the bones of the rib broke. Now we're going to see that not all bones are equal. The only bones we are concerned with are the bones that have moach, the bones that have marrow inside of them. So these are the bigger bones. So Tana Rabbanan in a brayso, Eluhain Rovtzlos. This is the definition of the majority of the bones that were they to break, it becomes a treifa. There are 13 bones on each side of the rib cage. So we're only concerned with the big ones. So it's sheish mikan v'sheish mikan. So if you have 6 on one side and 6 on the other, because there are 11 on each side that are big. If you have 6 on one side and 6 on the other, I'm sorry, right? Elohein Rotzlos, this is the definition of the majority of her bones. Sheish Mikan v'Sheish Mikan. Rashi says that there are 22 big bones that have a marrow, 11 on each side. So a majority would be 12. So if you have 6 on this side and 6 on this side, that would be, right, 12 is a majority of 22, because half of 22 would be 11, so 12 would be a majority. Oh, achas esrei mikan, you can even have 11 on one side, achas mikan on one on the other side, and you'd have a total of 12 marrow bones broken. And when 12 marrow bones are broken, it is a treifa. Amar Zeiri said, Umechetzion klape shedra. When we talk about bones being broken, it's only the top of the bone, right? Because you think about the rib cage, there's a spinal cord, there's the bones that come out, then they come back, and they connect again on the bottom, on the bone of the chazeh, the bone of the breast.
Basically securing.
Yeah, securing it. So when we talk about bones being broken, it's the bones on the top closer to the spine, not the bottom of the bones closer to the etzem hachazeh.
The ones on the bottom, they don't have marrow, or
maybe they don't have marrow. I'm not so sure. Maybe they don't have marrow, or maybe they're not. If they're broken, that's not going. That part of the bone, even though it has marrow, that's not going to make it, fatally wounded.
so
it can recover.
If it breaks a leg, wouldn't it be treifa?
We're going to see. It depends where. The leg under the knee is not a treifa. Above the knee is. But here we're talking about the lower part of the bones is not a problem.
Right,
the top part of the bones we're saying is where the problem
But
is.
when you talk about the rib cage, you're talking about all the ribs or just one or
No, that's what we're saying. We're saying that
22
within
ribs.
those bones, some are better than others. Some have marrow, some don't have marrow. Those that have marrow are the ones we're concerned about.
even one of them,
11
if
on
it's
each
one
side.
of them broken
No,
or all
majority.
of them? Majority. Okay.
So, Amr Zira said, Mechatzion klape shed. We're talking from the half of them that's closer to the spine. Amr Rabbi Barchan, Amr Rabbi Yochanan, Uvitzlos Kedolo Sheish Ben Moach. And we're talking about those big bones that have marrow. Amar Ula ben Zakkai, Amar. Ula said, Ben Zakkai said, Nekru, if the bones were detached entirely from where they were from the spine, then even if Rov Tzad Echad, even if only 6 bones detached, in other words, a majority of bones on one side, would already make it a treifa. Nishtabru, when we're talking about bones not being detached, but bones being broken, that's when we say Barov Shnei Tzdadim. We'd have a majority of 2 sides. The majority of the 2 sides together is 12. Rabbi Yochanan said no. Both uprooting bones and breaking bones. Barov Shnei Tzdadim. You have to have a majority of the 2 sides. You have to have 12, not 6. Amar Rav said, Nekra Tzela. Let's say a rib bone was detached. The chulya ima and the vertebrae on the spine, its vertebrae on the spine was detached with it. Treifa, that's already a treifa. Amila Rav Kahana of Rav Asi l'Rav. Rav Kahana and Rav Asi said to Rav, Nekra tzela mikan, v'tzela mikan, v'chulya kayem esmah. What would the law be if the rib bone on this side was uprooted, the rib bone on this side was dislodged, but the vertebrae of the spine is still there? Amalhus, he said, Gistra kamarta, you're talking about an animal that's cut into 2. So then, of course, it's a treifa. So Gemara says, one second, but Rav Nami Gistra kamar. But Rav also was talking about an animal that's cut, right? Because he said only one bone was detached, and he said that bone was detached with its vertebrae. So if the bone and a vertebrae are taken out, then the other bone on the other side of that vertebrae is also going to fall. So it doesn't have the thing holding it. So why does Rav say it's a treifa? That also is a nevela. So Gemara says no. Kikama Rav, and Rav is saying that when Rav said his law was tzela below chulya, it was that the bone was detached and the vertebrae was not detached. The vertebrae is still there, and the bone on the other side is still attached to the vertebrae. So one second, but Rav vitz tzela v'chulya kamar. But Rav said a bone and its vertebrae coming off is a treifa. So if the bone and the vertebrae came off, so then the bone on the other side of that vertebrae also came off. So that's not what he meant. What Rav meant was tzela v'chatzi chulya. A bone and half of the vertebrae. The vertebrae is like a hinge. It holds the two things. So a bone and half of it, of the vertebrae, but the other half of the vertebrae is still there with the bone on the other side. Michlal, does this imply to Rav Kahana Rav Asi tzela v'lo chulya ka'amri? When they were talking about, when Rav Kahana Rav Asi, the students asked Rav, Nekra tzela mikan v'tzela mikan v'chulya kayemes. So they're talking about a tzela without the vertebrae. Understand? And he said to them, from what you're saying, it's already in a veil, it's already cut into two. But we know that Ula said, Ben Zakkai said, Nekru, if the rib bones were uprooted, Berov tzad echad, then all you need is 6 rib bones to be uprooted. And ishtabru, if the rib bones broke, Berov shnei tzadim, then you need a majority of both sides. So you see that when you talk about uprooting, you need to have a majority of a side. At least you have to have 6. So certainly just uprooting one on this side and one on the other side is not going to yet make it a nevela. So the Gemara says when Ben Zakkai was talking, it was hasam zesh lo keneged zeh. It wasn't bones that were parallel to each other. But here it's zeh keneged zeh. Here we're talking about bones that are parallel to each other. So if both the bones are uprooted, then Rav says it's a nevela. Asks the Gemara of Amar Rabbi Yochanan, but didn't Rabbi Yochanan say that even with uprooting, it has to be rov shnei tzadim, it has to be 12 bones. It can't be 6 bones. Rov shnei tzadim, when you talk about 12 bones, 12, right, a majority of the two sides together, so you have to have at least one set that's uprooted. So Gemara says no. Hasam over there, buchna below asita. There it was where a bone was detached without the vertebrae at all. And therefore, there was a bone without a vertebrae. Hacha, but with Rav Kahana, Rav Asi, they were saying buchna v'asita. It's where the bone and a little bit of the vertebrae was detached. And on the other side also a bone and a little bit of the vertebrae. And the middle of the vertebrae is still there. And that's the question, what's the status? And Rav says that already is a nevela. The Gemara says if the case of Rav Kahana and Rav Asi was where a bone and some of the vertebrae was taken out, Yachi, if that's the case, Haina de Rav. That's the same thing as Rav. Rav already said that is a treifa. So what are they asking? Well, what happens if it's 2? If it's a bone and a vertebrae and a bone and a vertebrae, Rav already said that's a problem. Lo shmiel hu de Rav. They didn't really hear the law of Rav, and that's what they were asking. So one second. The Gemara says if they didn't really know the law of Rav, libo mineka de Rav. So let them ask Rav's case. Only one bone with a little bit of its vertebrae went off. Why are they asking about 2 parallel bones with a little bit of vertebrae? So my answer is Savri liboy mine chada. Let's ask him one question, the parish lantarti, and then we're going to have a response to 2 issues. So we'll ask about 2 bones parallel to each other dislodging with a little bit of vertebrae on each side. And if that's a problem, then we know that 1 bone dislodging with a little bit of vertebrae would also be a problem. If we're only going to ask about 1 bone, so if he tells us treifa, okay, kol shekain tarti. Certainly if 2 bones would dislodge like this, it would be a treifa. But if he's going to tell us ksheira, if he's going to tell us that 1 bone dislodging is kosher, akati tarti kamibali, then we're going to have a question about 2. That's they didn't want to ask him about 1. So the Gemara says, 1 second, Yachi, if that's the issue, ashtanami de kabay mine tarti, what are they gaining by asking him about 2 bones? If he tells them it's kosher, so then kol shekain chada. If 2 bones dislodge with some vertebrae, if that's kosher, certainly if 1 bone dislodges with some vertebrae, it's kosher. However, v'yamar lo and tarti treifa, what he was going to say, it's a treifa, akati chatimi boilu. So then they'll still have a question about one. It's Gemara Savri, they thought in their heart that if they ask about two bones, then they're going to have a resolution to both questions, because even if he says that the two bones dislodging is a treifa, it depends how he's going to say it.
But Rabbi, why is talking about majority? I thought in general, when a bone breaks in an animal's body, it puts that animal in pain, and that pain causes the treifa.
Apparently not enough. No, it has to be the most of the bones. So again, why did they ask about two? Right? Why didn't they ask about a single bone dislodging? Because they figured like this, Savi like this. He might say that the two bones dislodging is still kosher. Well, if he says the two bones are kosher, then certainly one bone dislodging is kosher. So that could resolve that side. And if he says that the two bones dislodging is treif, depends how he says it. He might get angry. And he might say like this. He might say, if one is a treifa, you're asking me about two. Already one is a treifa. So if he gets angry about the question, then they'll know that one is in fact a treifa, and two is certainly a treifa. If he says, okay, two is a treifa, that's a treifa, without anger. And if there's no anger, then they have a resolution. They know two will be a treifa, one would not be a treifa. And if one is also a treifa, and they're not sure about one, then when they ask about two, he's going to get angry at them. He's going to say to them, well, one's already a treifa. What are you asking about two for? So that way they'll get an answer regardless. And they'll get the answers to all the possibilities. They'll figure out both the answers to one and the answers to two. So Gemara says, but they asked him about the two bones dislodging. And he didn't get angry. He didn't get angry. So you see that even though he holds that one dislodging is no good, and they asked about two dislodging, he didn't get angry at them. So Gemara says, no, he did get angry. Since he said to him, Gistra kamritu, you're asking me about an animal cut into two. So that's that's already his anger. That's already anger. When he says, what type of a question is this? Of course this is no good. That's already anger. And therefore they had a resolution to their questions. Amar Rabbi Bar Rav Shila, Amar Rav Masna, Amar Shmuel. Rabbi Bar Rav Shila, same name Rav Masna, Amar Shmuel. Nekrat Sela Meikara. Let's say the rib bone, was uprooted entirely from where it's connected on the vertebrae. The gulgola shenechbesa. Or if you have a skull that got crushed through a blow, beruba, in its majority, or basar, or meat, hachofes rova keres, and it that covers the majority of that lower stomach, beruba, that gets torn in its majority. In all of these cases, treifa, it is a treifa. So now the first idea, nekrat salamei kara treifa. If one rib bone was uprooted from its source, from its vertebrae on the spine, connecting it, it is a treifa. What about what we learned in regards to Tomas Meis, or I'll challenge you for the Mishnah and all those. How much is missing? How much has to be missing from a spine of a dead body for it not to be considered a full organ, and therefore not creating Tomas? Oh, Beishamai say missing two vertebrae. Basil say even missing a single vertebrae. From review the Shmuel, the same as in regards to treifa, but it works the opposite way. Right? If in regards to Tumas Ohel, only two vertebrae means that it's missing and it's not anymore a full spine, then a treifa would only be if two vertebrae are missing. And if you hold in regards to Tumas Ohel, once one vertebrae is out, it's not going to create Tumah. And in treifa also, one vertebrae out would already make it a treifa. So now the Gemara asks this question. Hachatzela below. So what do you see? So you see that it's not the dislodging of a single bone that makes it a treifa. It's a chulya. It has to be the dislodging of the vertebrae that would make it a treifa. So Gemara says no. And the answer, Ach, over here, tzela below chulya. We're talking about a bone without the vertebrae. Hasam there was chulya below tzela. It was a vertebrae without a bone. Okay, so Shmuel's saying both are a treifa. So I said, 1 second. Bishma tzela below chulya mishkachasla. I can understand that a bone is dislodged and you still have a vertebrae there. Elachulya below tzela. But what does it mean? You're dislodging a vertebrae without a bone. How does it even happen? It says, no. There are vertebrae that are past the bones. The vertebrae is b'shili kafli. The vertebrae that are past all the bones of the rib cage. And about those vertebrae is where Shmuel says that if one of those vertebrae are out, it's a treifa. The same way, according to Beis Hillel, if one of those vertebrae are out, it's not going to create tumas. Oh hell. Maskef Rav Oshaya challenged this. If you're going to say that this law applies to treifa, so then it comes out that Beis Shammai is the lenient and Beis Hillel is the machmir. Because Beis Shammai say that when you have one vertebrae missing, it's still kosher. Beis Hillel say one vertebrae missing is not kosher, it's already a treifa. So we should be listed in Mesechus Edios with all those other rare cases where Beis Shammai is lenient and Beis Hillel is machmir. Amalei, Rav, so Rav answered, Ki Yitshul, but when this question was first brought up, the issue of a vertebrae missing, it wasn't brought up in regards to treifa. It was brought up in regards to a person's dead body in a room and a vertebrae missing from it. That's where it was first brought up, and it was brought up in regards to tumah. So since it was brought up in regards to tumah, so there, in regards to tumah, Beis Shammai is machmir. That they say that only when two vertebrae are missing is it not going to spread tumah. But when one vertebrae is missing, it will spread tumah. Whereas Beis Hillel say even when only one vertebrae is missing, it's not going to spread tumah. So since in regards to tumah, that's where it's first brought up. That's why it is not listed as a leniency of Beis Shammai.
Wow.
All right, the second point that the Brisa said was Gulgoles she nechbesa. If the skull was crushed beruba in its majority, it is a treifa. Why Rabbi Yirmiyah asked the question, we say the majority of the skull being crushed, what does that mean? Rov Gova, is it the majority of its height? It's from the eyes and up, the height of the animal. Oh, Rov Hekefa, or do we mean the majority of the circumference? The Teku, we don't know. And the third thing that Shmuel said was Basar Chofes Rov HaKeres, the meat that surrounds the majority of the lower stomach. That berubo, if it's torn in its majority, it's a treifa. Rav Ashi asked, Berov karua or berov natal? Are we talking about meat that was torn or that it was detached entirely? But being torn, it wouldn't be a treifa. Says the Gemara, Tif Shabei Miditnan. Why don't you resolve from a Mishnah? We learned Keres Hapni Mishanikva, the inner stomach that had a hole. Oshanikra Rov HaChitzon, or the majority of the outer stomach was torn. And Marav, when they said in Eretz Yisrael, Mishmed Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina, the name of Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina, Kala Keres Kulo. So a Keres Hapnimi, the entire Keres is called the inner Keres. Ezeo Keres HaChitzon. What's the outer Keres? Moshe. What's the question? I'm hopeful we can have two minyanim. That's my hope. You don't think so? Maybe we should all go there.
No, but we have Shai and Aaron at the
but we don't have so many here. We have only like 10 here. Okay, let's see.
12.
All right, let's just finish this one point. So, what is the outer keres? So, basar achofes rov keres. That's the meat that's surrounding the majority of the keres. So, what do you see? That if it's nikra rubo, if it's in majority torn, it's already considered a treifa, even though it wasn't dislodged. So Gemara said, no, midu time el l'shmuel. But we're talking about Shmuel. Shmuel's the one who's telling us about the simane treifa. Rabbi Yaakov bar Nachmani Amar Shmuel. Whereas Rabbi Yaakov bar Nachmani says the name of Shmuel, that what is keres chitzona? Makom she'en bo milas. That's the part of the stomach that doesn't have the woolly features. So therefore, it's not really, doesn't tell us about this question of tearing this meat, whether that would be a treifa or only uprooting it would make it into a treifa. Okay.
We have 12 here. No, we have
רבי חנניה בן הקש אומר רצח הקדוש ברוך הוא זכת ישראל לפי חכיר בן תורה ומצווה שנאמר לך זמן סיכוי יגדיל תורה וידיר.